Hey, Men Warriors, are you a level 1 or a level 4 fat burner? Does eating breakfast help burn belly fat after menopause? I'm going to be diving into that today. Today, I received a question in my inbox from somebody who uses marketing a lot to sell her stuff. And I'm not over impressed with her stuff. And it was about trying to sell one of her programs and helping you work out whether you're a level 1 or a level 4 fat burner. I mean, what happened to the level 2s and 3 fat burners for a start? I always wonder who gets the exciting job of coming up with these ideas. And so when I get something like that, my curiosity is piqued because it can be very misleading. A lot of people might read that email and think, oh my gosh, if I know what kind of level I am on the fat burning scheme of things, I can all of a sudden get rid of this belly fat or the overall weight gain that I might be experiencing due to my menopausal transition. But often there is not an awful lot of truth in these things. There is no recognized scientific classification that creates level 1, 2, 3, and 4 for fat burning. You will see them in no physiology book or menopause research worth its salt. They are just marketing terms, and while a lot of marketing is a load of baloney, often marketing is a tiny, tiny grain of truth wrapped up in a lot of shiny wrappers, and the same applies here. I mean, we've all seen, haven't we, what, 5 hormone types, 12 body types, and before long you need a spreadsheet to remember who you're actually supposed to be. So we will explore that grain of truth today, because let's face it, none of us are identical to each other. None of us really responds to food in exactly the same way, and our environments are constantly changing, and how we show up on a daily basis is also changing. Fluctuation is happening all the time in ourselves, in our hormones, and externally too. Some women can go comfortably without eating much. Other women will need to eat early, and without that food they'll feel shaky and jittery and possibly irritable. Others prefer to eat naturally later. I mean, I am definitely one of those. I do not like eating early, although I do make myself eat early because of my strength training, but I will cover that in a little while later in this episode. But it just means that we're all different, and more importantly, just remember that we're all human and things keep changing. So instead of talking about fat burning levels, I would talk about metabolic flexibility. I think really that is the concept behind these fat burning levels. Metabolic flexibility basically means that your body is able to switch between using either carbohydrates and or fat for your fuel, for your energy reserves. I mean, wouldn't it be great if our bodies came with like a little dashboard and it said, yeah, today, Kate, you were doing great. You get the green. And on the days when it's a little bit wobbly, it can give me like a little ping saying, hey, be careful. You're going down into the red zone. And then I think, oh, yes, I must drink another glass of water. Oh, yes, I must eat something green or something along those lines. Unfortunately, we do not come with that little dashboard, but we do come with an inbuilt sense of our bodies telling us what we need. We have become a little bit detached from understanding our body's messaging. I think a lot of us will eat when possibly we're thirsty. Often if you have a large glass of water, what you thought was hunger actually is just because you're dehydrated. We become irritable because often we're thirsty or we need to eat something healthy. And when we start to pay a little bit more attention to our body's signals, it's amazing actually how much the body tells you. And you start to sort of become more familiar with what those sort of knocks on the door are, as to, you know, are you hungry? Do you need to eat? Probably not a biscuit. What about a stick of celery or a carrot or an apple, or have, you know, something more healthy, which will give you more nutrition, fill you up for longer, and keep your blood sugars more stable. You know, think about it a bit like a hybrid car. So some days or some elements of some days, you might be using the battery, then you might be using petrol. Your body just simply uses the fuel that makes the most sense at that point in time. And a metabolically flexible body will do pretty much the same. So if you've eaten breakfast, then your body will use some of that breakfast for the immediate energy that you're feeling. And then several hours later, as your insulin levels fall, then your body will naturally move towards using more fat as energy, which is then obviously good for fat burning. And that's what a healthy metabolism is designed to do. Metabolic flexibility is something that you can actually change. You can work to improve the flexibility. And if you go through a period of life where you sort of maybe lose a bit of connection with yourself, maybe you're going through a really difficult time and, you know, it happens, then you might become a little bit more inflexible metabolically, but you can get it back again. I think that's the really important thing to remember, is that you're not stuck at one point in time. Your body's adapting constantly, consistently every single day. Generally, your flexibility is built into how you've been living your life for the previous few years or months. You know, if you are living a fairly healthy life, generally you should have pretty good metabolic flexibility. If you need to make a few changes, then you might not be quite so metabolically flexible, but you can create that flexibility. It's influenced by things like muscle mass, regular exercise, how well you manage stress, how well you manage to sleep, any recent illnesses that you've had or not had, a good nutrition. And if your nutrition isn't great, then your metabolic flexibility will be negatively impacted. If you're eating a lot of sugary foods, you know, like the refined carbohydrates, trans fats, those sorts of things are going to have a negative impact on your metabolic flexibility. So really, you know, what we're putting into the engine does have a massive impact on the amount of flexibility that we have within our metabolism. And you know, our bodies are literally responding on a day-by-day basis. Recently, I had a really very important meeting to go to. It was quite a long way away. I'd slept really badly the night before. It was during the really, really hot season, and crikey, I was sweaty. I didn't have enough water on board. I had a small breakfast in the morning because I knew it was going to be a long day. That breakfast was very protein centric. Also had a huge dollop of creatine. I honestly think creatine is like a magic thing. I want some information here on creatine because I did a few videos on the benefits of creatine for us through menopause. And particularly if you've slept really badly or if you're struggling with jet lag, by having a large dose in the morning, it can really help to fuel you and keep you going. And I knew for this particular meeting, there was a lot going on. And I had to be really on the ball. I was leading the meeting, lots of different people there. Actually, the day went brilliantly. And that is partly down to possibly my metabolic flexibility. And although I was exhausted by the time I got home, it didn't really have much of an impact on me. I didn't feel ill. I slept like a log that night and recovered, you know, really well overnight and felt great the next day. And did I suddenly become a sort of supersonic level 4 fat burner? No. Level 4, by the way, is you're supposed to be metabolically very flexible. Level 1, you are supposed to be not metabolically very flexible at all. So essentially, you'll have more difficulty losing fat as a level 1 than you will as a level 4. But remember, these levels do not exist in any scientific way at all. I think actually I prefer the term metabolic resilience to metabolic flexibility, because really that's what we're trying to build into our lives, is that sense of resilience, particularly as we get older and go through the menopause, building up our resilience to manage stress more effectively, because life is so unpredictable. You know, some days you might have time for breakfast, you might eat your breakfast at 7, other days it might be 10 o'clock, other days you might miss it completely, some days you might manage to eat your lunch, other days you might eat your lunch at 3 o'clock, other days you might miss it completely. Life has this habit of being very fluid, and the more flexible that we can be around that and not get stressed about the fact that we're not ticking the right boxes on our spreadsheet. Oh my God, it's like 7:30, I've not eaten my breakfast, panic. What's the day going to hold for me? Having that metabolic resilience built in makes a massive, massive difference to how you respond to those days when everything does happen at you and you feel completely out of control. And just wanted to talk about intermittent fasting too. I've done a video on intermittent fasting after menopause. I'll link that here. It's quite interesting actually, because I really enjoyed intermittent fasting. In fact, don't you think we use intermittent fasting like a badge of honor? It's just like, oh, you only managed 14 hours yesterday. I did a whole 18 hours. I mean, honestly, I've seen some people treat it like an Olympic sport. It's just like you get your gold badge if you starve yourself to death. But essentially, intermittent fasting can be beneficial for some people. You might still love it. Like I say, I did love it, but I noticed it wasn't having a great impact on my belly fat then after menopause, because one of the reasons for that is when we're fasting, our body can have too much cortisol in it. It can actually cause a stress in the body. As we go through menopause and beyond, we have more stress hormones in our bodies because the adrenal glands do the backup job of the ovaries when they go into retirement, which means necessarily that we have a little bit more cortisol in our bodies. So when we wake up in the morning, first thing, we have cortisol. That's a natural thing. Cortisol is actually really good for us in the right amounts. It gets us out of bed, it gets us motivated to get on and attack the day. Even if you don't feel like it, you've still got more cortisol in the morning than necessarily you'll have at the end of the day. So because we have those naturally elevated levels of cortisol, by fasting, for a lot of women after menopause, that can actually contribute to belly fat. Now, like I say, if it's working for you, stick with it. You'll want a different body type, and it obviously works really, really well for you. If you're finding that you used to do it and you love it, but actually that belly fat's creeping up, it might be worth just bringing back that fasting window a little. So you're eating a little bit earlier, or ideally, eat a little earlier as your last meal so that you've got a longer natural period through the night when you're sleeping, and then that will sort of naturally adjust that fasting window for you. A lot of the fasting studies, when they were done on men, and actually men can train fasted. It's quite good for them to not eat first thing in the morning, but for women we need to. Ideally, we want a little bit of protein, we want a little bit of good quality carbohydrate, particularly if you're strength training or you're doing any kind of exercise. Ideally you want to go into it fueled. Our bodies use those resources really effectively, so having a small amount of breakfast will really help you if you're doing activity in the morning first thing. I mean, for me, I normally just have some Greek yogurt. I often put a little bit of my protein shake in there. I put a dollop of creatine in it. I always have berries on it, a little bit of porridge, oats, or raw porridge oats, and then some milled flaxseed, because that's very high in protein too. Mix all that together. I mean, there's not a lot of it, but that's enough to get me through my sort of 45-50 minute strength training workout. And often I do so sprint interval training 3 times a week as well. And I normally sort of tag that on at the end of my workout. And, that is not for long. It's sort of 5-7 minutes of sprint interval training. So I really need to have something inside me to fuel me to get the most out of my workout. Because I feel if I'm spending this time doing my exercises, I want to know that I'm actually getting the most out of doing those exercises. So for me, that works really well. It may not work really, really well for you, but I do recommend, if you're realizing that intermittent fasting actually isn't giving you the benefits that you really wanted it to give you now, maybe back it off a little, and you might then find that actually eating your breakfast helps you lose belly fat because you're not triggering that cortisol. And of course, when our cortisol levels rise, that tends to make our insulin levels rise too. Insulin is your fat storing hormone. So the reason you put weight on around the belly is because we have 4 times the amount of cortisol receptors around the belly as we do in any other part of the body. So that's why it goes on around the middle. But you'll also possibly put fat on everywhere around your body too, but largely around the belly. So managing stress is really key to combating belly fat. You'll also find that if you're fueling before you do your workouts, you are likely to build more muscle mass. And it's really hard to build good muscle mass after menopause because our bodies just don't respond to protein as effectively as they did before menopause. And also with that increased cortisol in our bodies, it has a catabolic effect on our body tissues. So your muscles and your bones, they tend to break down more quickly after menopause. So by eating plenty of protein, getting your strength training in, your muscle really is one of the main currencies of longevity. It's not just about having lean, toned muscles. It gives you stronger bones. It's good for your mental health. It's good for your digestive system. It supports your metabolism. It helps you to keep your independence. You don't want to be falling over and breaking things like hips or your thigh bones. They can be very hard to recover from. And I can't remember what the percentage is, but it's a massive percentage of people that break their hip. They never come out of hospital because of something else that gets them while they're in hospital. So does eating breakfast help you burn belly fat after menopause? There is no simple yes or no answer. It really is about the bigger picture. Are you eating enough protein? Are you moving your body regularly? Are you prioritizing your sleep? Are you building in resilience to stress? Those things will have a far greater impact on your body composition than what time you happen to eat your breakfast at. And I would really encourage you to stop worrying about what your fat burning level might be. I mean, come on. We have a lot of demands on us. You might be caring for elderly parents. You might be looking after grandchildren. You might be somehow trying to look after yourself in all that too. We have jobs, we have dogs to walk, we have deadlines. You might still be getting hot flushes. You might still be struggling with several hormonal related issues. Sometimes we eat lunch at 3 or 4 o'clock, and that's okay because that's just the way life is at times. I would encourage you to ask the question, how can you build a healthier, stronger, more resilient body so that you thrive through menopause and beyond? Rather than thinking about things that you can take away, think of things about that you can add in, like possibly more protein, healthy carbohydrates, plenty of vegetables. Those are so good for you. Also for your gut health. If you're able to eat fermented foods, make sure you're doing that, because again, the gut system has a profound impact on how we experience life. And if your gut is slightly off, and it does become more sluggish after menopause, then eating a wide range of fruits and vegetables and adding some fermented foods will really, really benefit you. Your body will respond to the long-term way you look after it. And if you're looking after it well, then to worry about, did you eat your breakfast or not? Did you do your workout or not? Have you had your protein shake within 30 minutes of having done your workout? All these things, they just add more stress. Yes, if you can remember to get your protein shake in 30 to 40 minutes after you work out, great. If you can't, have it 2 hours later. There are many days when that happens to me too, because life just gets in the way and we get busy. We've all become so focused on these tiny little things that we hang on to as though they're a miracle cure or a magical solution, and they're not. It's a combination of literally treating your body like the human body it is, eating real food, moving like a human body needs it to, getting outside into nature, surrounding yourself with houseplants if you can't get out into nature. Nature has such a profound impact on how we show up in life. You know, we are nature. Nature is us. We just happen to build metal boxes and stone and brick structures around ourselves at some point in time, and we tend to sit in those stone, metal and brick and whatever structures for far too long. The more we can act like a human is supposed to act, the happier, the more resilient we will all be. There is no denying that fact. Remember, it really is about the way you look after your body long term, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. That is what will have the biggest impact on your body composition and also how you feel, not whether you're a level 1 or a level 4 fat burning type. I'd love to hear your experiences. Do you like to eat breakfast, or do you tend to eat your breakfast later? Does intermittent fasting work for you, or did it used to work and it no longer does? And if you found this helpful, please give it a like, consider subscribing to the channel. Have a great week. Thank you so much for your company. Take good care of yourself and see you again soon.